back there?
Good evening, everyone. It's time is 6 o'clock. Go ahead and get started with the Seminole County Board of Adjustment meeting for July 22nd, 2024. For those of you in the audience who've never attended one of these, just go over some of the procedures that we usually follow. For each agenda item that we have, staff will introduce each item for consideration. If you'd like to speak outside, if you're not the applicant, you can fill out a speaker form. They're located in the lobby, whether you're for or against any item that's on our agenda tonight. The procedure will be the applicant, after staff's report, the applicant will be allowed to speak, and then supporters will be heard first. Anyone in opposition will be called next. Then the applicant will have a chance for rebuttal. Please keep your comments restricted to the information related to the item that we're speaking on. And if you're an individual, you'll have 3 minutes for comments. If you're speaking on behalf of a group, you'll have 6 minutes to speak. Speakers, please move closer to the podium when your item is being presented by staff. And that speakers, when they come to the podium, please identify yourselves clearly for the record by stating your name and address. Each speaker is going to be given respectful and courteous attention. Following the speakers, the board may ask questions of speakers or staff members. Any information that's presented tonight to the board, whether it be pictures, plans, letters, will become part of the public record. Typically, our chairman will normally tell you that if you have something that you want to display on your phone, we'll have an ability to display it, but we ask that you provide that information to us following the meeting so we don't have to keep the phone. At that point, once the applicants and the speakers have finished, I'll ask for a motion from the board. Once a motion's been made and seconded, discussion will be closed to the floor, and then following board discussion, a vote will be taken. During voting, any board members who do not cast objecting votes are considered to have been voted in support of the motion. Lastly, any person who is aggrieved by any decision of the Board of Adjustment may, within 15 days, file an appeal to the Board of County Commissioners through the Planning and Development Division of the Development Services Department. With that, we can start with our first item.
Good evening, for the record, Hillary Faden, Planning and Development. Item number 1 is a continued variance request for 7033 Betty Street located in the Runwood subdivision. The request is for a height variance from 6.5 feet to 8 feet for a privacy fence in the R1 zoning district. The request is to construct 250 feet of 8-foot tall vinyl privacy fence meeting the 5-foot side street setback. The proposed privacy fence encroaches into a utility easement, and building permitting will be required to meet the criteria for placement within a estoppel letter. The proposed privacy fence is approximately 7 feet from the sidewalk and 17 feet from the edge of pavement. Traffic engineering has no objection to the placement of the fence as it relates to site visibility. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Any questions from the board? Seeing none, is the applicant present? Please come forward, identify yourselves.
Sorry,
Name and address, please.
like up here? Right here at the podium.
Right up here.
Podium.
Thank you.
Right here.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Just take your name and address.
My name is Jessica, and I live at 7033 Betty Street.
Jessica, I'm sorry, what's your last name?
Lee, L-E-E.
Thank you. Thank you. And then
Sorry.
just, please let us understand what you're looking for
Yeah,
tonight.
absolutely. So I bought this house at the end of last year, and there was a fence that the previous owner had installed that had gaps in between the panels, so there's no privacy. I am personally over 6 feet tall by a little bit, so having a 6-foot tall fence isn't very private to me. I was hoping that I could do 7 feet, but then when I reached out to fencing contractors, they said that in order to do that, it's a custom fence. They have to pretty much cut the posts and, make it custom, which I'm open to doing. I feel like 8 feet feels a little bit high to me, but that was just like the best route as far as pricing goes. And also when I called Seminole County and they called me when they reviewed my application and felt like they haven't seen 7 feet come up a lot. So they were also suggesting 8 feet instead of 7, but I'm not like set on either one. So either one would be great.
Okay, gentlemen, any questions?
as a 7-foot person, I also understand. Just saying. So when you came out, basically, what is the size of the fence right now that's on the property right now?
So the previous owner pulled the permit as 6 foot, but
Okay.
I can see over it. Like, to me, it feels more like a 5-foot fence, maybe 5.5
Okay.
in real life. Yeah.
How did you get 6.5 on the application?
Judge,
So
sorry.
6.5 foot to 8 feet.
6.5 feet is the standard height requirement. It can't exceed 6.5 feet per our code.
Oh, it's, okay, it's not starting at 6.5. It's asking possibly for an increase to, I got you,
To
okay.
8, yeah.
So right now you think it's about 5?
Yeah, the fence that's currently there, I would like to remove and put up a fence that actually is private because I do have a pool back there, and so like seeing through the fence currently is a little bit odd and doesn't feel very private. And I don't think they make 6.5 foot fences. That I'm
They'll make
aware of.
anything.
Yeah.
So, did you talk to any neighbors? So I noticed on the map here, there's, we'll usually get, the county sends out requests around within a certain area. Have you talked to your neighbors about anything regarding, I know that you're on a corner lot,
Yeah.
but you still have somebody there to your south. Have you spoken with them about such a tall fence?
I've spoken to all 3 of my neighboring neighbors. I'm actually like really close with like every neighbor that's adjacent to me in any way. And I spoke to the one directly who I think would see the most of the fence. And I let her know that I wasn't gonna do like a really bright white vinyl fence to where she walks out of her front door and she's like blinded by it every day. So I was either gonna go with something that was a little bit more neutral, maybe like a nice like tan color, or something that looks like a wooden fence. Like they make vinyl fences now that are like kind of like brown neutral wood looking. So I wanted to do something that wouldn't be like an eyesore. 'Cause
And
I
they were
know-
okay with that? All the neighbors were cool with it?
So far, yes. I mean, I've talked to the neighbors that I share like property lines with, and the one that lives directly, like that would see like that longest part of the fence. I talked to her, and
Okay.
everyone seemed fine with it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any of you gentlemen? Questions? I do have one question. Can we show the survey on the screen? Go back one, I'm sorry. So it looks like the existing fence is, again, I don't have dimensions, but that dash line with the squares on it and the yellow line. So are we moving the location of the fence to where approximately the yellow line is?
Yes. When I went to fill out the variance form, I asked them upstairs, like, how far out can I bring the fence with it being within the guidelines? And they said that 5 feet from, I don't know the right terms, but like 5 feet in would be the already requirement per the code, and so that would have been okay. There was no variance request for that.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to be clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't have any further questions.
Now, the picture that we just saw, that's the fence that's currently up there.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
At this time, we'll ask if there's anybody in the audience who would like to speak in favor of the motion. Seeing none, we'll ask for anyone in the audience who'd like to speak against the motion. We'll close that. We'll ask for board for their pleasure.
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Beagley, we have a motion. Judge, we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I do have one question for our discussion. Because this is a corner lot and the location of the fence, do we have any other concerns about the side yard setbacks for the fence?
The side yard setbacks are now 5 feet for side streets
Okay, that's now our new official code?
as of April 1st, yes.
Perfect, thank you. Any other discussion, gentlemen? Okay. This time, call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Not unless you want to. I mean, what you saw is the next 11 items, so.
And I apologize. Before we do item number 2, I didn't call for a roll, so if we could do that real quick, just to add that to our minutes. I didn't ask, make sure Mr. Hadaway was noted that he was absent tonight, so.
Do we normally do that?
Don't you normally do a roll call for, see who's here?
No.
No.
No, we
Okay,
don't.
fine. I just want to make sure I didn't miss something. I am new to this right tonight, so.
I was just looking at Megan, her understanding is present, so.
Okay.
As long as we have a quorum, that's,
Yeah, I just want to make sure. Thank you. Don't want to violate any rules.
Good evening, Angie Gates. Item number 2 is a request for a rear yard setback variance from 15 feet to 10 and a half feet for a covered porch addition in the PD Plan Development District and the Deer Run Unit 5 subdivision located at 260 Saxony Court. The covered porch addition will be 551 square feet and will encroach 4.5 feet into the required rear yard setback. The rear of the property backs up to a 175-foot drainage utility and greenbelt easement. There have not been any prior variances for the subject property, and this concludes my presentation.
Board, any questions for staff? Seeing none. Is the applicant present? Yes. Please come forward. Name and address, please. Thank you.
My name is Dolon Boyan Joynal, and my address is 260 Saxony Court, Winter Spring, Florida 32708.
Thank you. And just give us a brief, understanding of what you're asking for tonight.
Yeah, I know it's variance like summer kitchen setback.
Okay. Gentlemen, any questions?
I've got one question.
Evans?
So, for some reason, I have it in my head, I guess. I don't know if it's correct, but are you extending the building or the footprint of your building, or are you building on an existing patio?
It's like summer kitchen like patio.
Okay, so like where the grass is currently,
I guess.
you're not extending any more concrete into that grass going backwards. You're just putting up a screen porch where it already kind of exists there. Is that kind of a patio coming off that slider right there?
It's okay. This seem like is only roof top. That's it, and it's
But is there an existing patio currently?
no patio like
Okay.
only roof.
Okay.
Only roof, yeah.
Okay.
Simple roof.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other question?
Gentlemen? Seeing none. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
At this time, we'll ask if there's anybody in the audience who'd like to speak in favor. Seeing none. Ask if there's anybody in the audience who'd like to speak opposed to the item. Again, seeing none, we'll move to board pleasure.
Mr. Chair, motion to approve.
Mr. Coonson. We have a second?
Second.
Mr. Beagley? Any discussion, gentlemen? And you guys are quiet tonight, making it easy. Okay, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 3 is a request for a rear yard setback variance from 15 feet to 0 feet for a screen room addition in the PD Plan Development District and the Glenwood Village Section 2 subdivision located at 117 Hidden Oak Drive. The proposed screen room will be 476 square feet and will encroach 15 feet into the required rear yard setback. The subject property abuts a greenbelt and utility easement. The Springs Homeowners Association has approved the proposed screen porch addition, and 2 letters of support were received from the adjacent property owners, One was from the neighbor at 115 Hidden Oak Drive, and one was from 119 Hidden Oak Drive. There have not been any prior variances for the subject property, and this completes my presentation.
Thank you. Gentlemen, any questions for staff? Seeing none. Applicant's already at the podium.
My name is Donald Samarco, 117 Hidden Oak Drive in Longwood. This is my first foray into variances, so I looked up exactly what a variance was to make sure I got it right, and found that the fact or quality of being different, divergent, or inconsistent was one of the definitions. I have submitted this information to the HOA, and they approved it, which is telling me that things have indeed changed since the zoning was brought into being sometime in '71, as best I know. I immediately drove around the neighborhood and found that a number of these screened areas are already existing. 2 of them are right next to where I live, or where we're going to live. We're moving out there. So that's why I'm requesting that.
Okay. Was there any, I'm sorry, gentlemen, is there any questions?
I have pictures of the existing, I have 6 pictures of existing screened porches that have no setback to them whatsoever. Can you project these at all? Or? Oh, they can keep them. And I also, I don't know if it's in there, I have a letter from my physician with regard to the request for the screened porch. Is that in the information?
Yes.
Okay. The fence is the line, the lot line, and you can see the screened porch comes right to the fence with 0 setback.
Thank you. The only question I have is, obviously my concern is, when we look at variances, personally myself.
Yes, sir.
We always look at what providing the minimum variance. In this case, this is the maximum. It's basically the entire 15-foot, 0 up to the property line. So is there a reason, why you didn't go 12 or 13 feet and give us a buffer?
To be honest with you, I didn't even know I needed a variance. My contractor told me, he said, well, I can't build that. And I said, well, look around, they're all over the place. And he said, no, you need a variance, it's against the zoning because it's a 15-foot setback. So that's what brought me into looking into actually doing that. I wanted to get the maximum use of what is now a patio, just as my neighbors have.
Thank you. Gentlemen?
I've got one quick question.
Yes,
So
sir.
on the application, it noted that the HOA approved, but you just had to remove your gutters to not shed water on the other neighborhood. Did that get done?
He said, they don't want water runoff to neighboring properties, but as far as I know, that goes way beyond HOAs and variances.
I was just curious if you had
Yeah.
looked at that with your contractor.
It doesn't, the downspouts run along the side of what will be that porch, so I won't really need to change them.
Okay, so you
They don't-
you don't believe any water will be going onto your
Oh,
neighbor's property?
I'll make sure there'll be no water going on that property.
Okay. That was it for me.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Smart.
Thank you.
This time we'll ask if there's anybody in the audience who would like to speak in favor. Seeing none. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak against the request? Again, seeing none, close public comment and look to the board for a motion.
So just disclosure, I actually serve on the HOA board in this community, but there's no financial aspects. I actually know the residents very well in there. So, but yeah, I actually serve on the SCA board in Springs, so, but no financial, so we're good.
Thank you.
The other, he said there were several other properties that had their screen porches going right up to the property line. Did they all seek variances, or do you know?
I only found 2 previous variances in the subdivision. There was one for an addition a 225 square foot addition for the rear from 15 feet to 0 feet. And that was at 129 Red Cedar Drive, and one at 112 Rain Tree Drive from 15 feet to 10 feet for a covered screen room. Those were the only two variances that I found.
Judge, a lot of the homes in there were built 1980s, late 1970s, early 1980s. A lot of them have not had, and back then it was a different story a little bit, so just to let you know.
I'm noticing the trend now, people are less concerned about the overall aesthetics as to the individual comfort. And, it's a different world back when I.
Any other discussion? Did I call for a motion already?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bravo for approval, second by Mr. Beagley. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Good luck.
Item number 4 is a variance request for 275 Francis Circle located in the San Lando subdivision. The request is for a rear yard setback reduction from 30 feet to 10 feet for an accessory structure in the R1AA zoning district. The request is to construct 952 square foot detached garage 20 feet into the rear yard setback. The detached garage will be 28 by 34 with 2 garage doors, 2 windows, and an entry door, and will be utilized as a garage and storage. 2 letters of support have been received from adjacent property owners. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Gentlemen, any questions for staff? Seeing none. Is the applicant present?
Lisa and Don Junkerman, 275 Francis Circle,
Thank you, sir.
Altamont. We've lived there for 27 years plus.
Thank you, sir. Just give us an idea of what you're trying to accomplish.
If there's a photo of the property area, I feel it's a...
We have
You have it? Okay. I feel it's a hardship because of all the properties in that area. Mine has the shallowest, from the north to south side, and I feel it's a hardship. I don't have what my neighbors are able to install.
So you're just trying to keep up with the Joneses?
Well,
If you're
in
gonna,
some ways,
can
yeah.
I have you take the microphone so we can hear you?
It's lots 25, 26 up there. As you see, the rest of them are all much deeper than mine.
Now, this is separated, this is not connected to the house?
No, it's
Is
not
it separate
connected
kind
to
of
the
building?
house.
Tell me about the building.
It's going to be single-story, walls are 8 foot high. I think, it was 28 by 34 feet. It's going to be hardy board construction. I've tried to get it, I didn't want a metal building in there because some neighbors have a metal building and my neighbors would have killed me. So I've tried to get to where it would reflect the house. So it's going to have lap siding, white lap siding. And I've talked to all my neighbors, and they're not against it. Most of them have fences anyway. Plus I'm going to put foliage around it. And I spent a lot of due process in laying this out so I would not have to remove any trees. I do have a master's in urban planning, actually graduated with one of your former planners here. And, tried to make sure it wouldn't object to what my neighbors would want.
28 by 30. And it's going to be used for what?
2-car garage plus a little shop on the side and an office in the rear, just a small office.
I'm looking for the picture. That one picture is that access to the property. There's a tree and then there's Should be no branches,
Yes, there's,
so you,
a lot of people move into the neighborhood because of the canopy, tree canopy, but we've noticed, we had a real high aerial, we noticed that a lot of people have removed the trees. We're not in favor of that.
I'm just trying to figure out where the access to your
Where the
garage
access-
is gonna
Do
be.
you see the red line on the middle photo?
Yeah,
That's the footprint, that's the footprint.
okay, but how do you get there? It's one of those pictures,
There's a driveway goes straight through beyond that black Mini Cooper sitting there, and that's how you would get there. And there's going to be 2 garage doors, but I'm only going to have 1 driveway. I'm going to use the other garage door for the shop area.
it's gonna match your house.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, this is off of 436.
Between 436 and 434 along Seminole Avenue and south of North Street, which seems like an odd
Gotcha.
statement.
Okay.
It's prettier. Yeah, it's not city-like. It's a lot of trees, as you see. It's almost
Well, I
rural.
wasn't commenting on the trees as much as I was trying to figure out how you get to the garage.
Okay.
So your doors,
We're halfway between Longwood and Altamont.
nothing else.
Gentlemen, any, Mr. Adams?
I have a question, just a quick question for staff. So I was just curious, and you may have gotten to this point, or maybe it's compliant, but the 952 square feet, that's in compliance with all building code for ADUs, for the FAR ratios and subservient primaries and all that? Or would that be?
Reviewed at the time of building permitting.
Okay, all right, so this is purely just for the setbacks at this time? All right, cool, thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Jungman. Question that you might as well stage this for a second. The applicant, in our package, the description is that it's a detached garage and storage. Mr. Junkerman indicated that he's planning on using it as an office too. Does this change the definition of what we're looking at?
It shouldn't be used as an office, no. We don't have detached, like, living space as a permitted use.
Correct. So, I mean, and that I mean, I apologize, but that was the red flag that came up for me, is that in this case, as he said, his use was planning on for an office. That is not really allowed by our code at this
Yeah,
point.
that's the first I've heard of that.
Okay.
It's really not an office per se, it's just an area to store a lot of car magazines and stuff, on shelves in there, that my wife wants out of the house.
Understood. And the reason I'm bringing it up is, when I hear the word office, that means a desk, a phone, and someone's working in there as more of a, outside of just a normal garage. So,
Yes.
So
You gonna have a separate room inside there for that, or just something you're gonna,
Just something
Desk
with
and a
shelves back there, yes.
no additional construction inside to create this office space?
No.
okay. I have no further questions. Thank you, sir. This time in the audience, I'd have to ask if there's anyone here that would like to speak in favor of the motion, not the motion, of the item. Seeing none, ask if there's anyone who'd like to speak in opposition. Again, seeing none, bring it back to the board. Board's pleasure.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion to approve by Mr. Beagley, second by Mr. Kunzin. Any discussion, gentlemen? I do have one question, and maybe for our county attorney. So, my question regarding whether or not, an office, definition is used, is there anything that we should include tonight that would make sure that he understands that an office is not allowed?
Yeah, I think I would clarify the motion that the inclusion of that space is not to operate a business, and that it's in line with the current zoning and any existing exceptions in that zoning district.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that already in the literature, in the application,
It may have, I might have missed it, but just for a clean motion, I think that in an exercise of caution, there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. I'll amend the motion then for the two-car garage with no mention space of any office, as it's not compliant with Seminole County Code.
Second to that.
Agreed. Thank you. Clerk, we have that? Good, thank you. Gentlemen, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Item number 5 is a variance request for 1912 West Airport Boulevard located in the Bungalow City subdivision. The request is for a rear yard setback reduction from 10 feet to 3 feet for an accessory structure in the R1 zoning district. The request is to construct an 80-square-foot shed encroaching 7 feet into the rear yard setback. The proposed shed is 10 feet by 8 feet and will be used to store tools and lawn equipment. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Gentlemen, any questions for staff? Seeing none, is the applicant present? Good evening.
Hello, I'm Sarah Koch. I live at 1912 West Airport Boulevard.
Thank you. What would you like us to know about your project tonight?
Well, we bought a nice new shed from Costco without really understanding setbacks. And then when we went to, talk about install and placement, that's when I realized that we would really like it to be closer to the back property line. So as you can see right here, and I do have it illustrated, but basically the whole right side of the house is septic and drainage field, so that kind of, negates that whole side yard. So we wanted to place it in the backyard, basically facing that window. But if we, complied with the 10 feet, it would be really right next to the house. So we just have limited space, and we're just trying to make it still look nice.
Thank you. Gentlemen, any questions?
Neighbor okay with it behind you?
Yeah, and actually, there's no neighbor directly beside or behind. It's an L-shaped vacant lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so behind us is actually vacant, and then beside is vacant, and then there's a brand-new house to the left of us, and they don't care.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Thank you. Anyone in the audience who'd like to speak in favor of the item? Seeing none. Anybody would like to speak opposed to the item? Again, seeing none. Close public comment. Gentlemen, I'll ask for a board's pleasure.
Move to approve.
Bigley?
Second.
Mr. Kunzen, thank you. Any discussion? Gentlemen, ask for a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry, that was me saying nothing. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Item number 6 is a variance request for 1592 Thornhill Circle, located in the Cobblestone subdivision. The request is for a rear yard setback reduction from 30 feet to 16 feet for a pergola addition in the R1 AA zoning district. The request is to construct a 312-square-foot pergola addition encroaching 14 feet into the rear yard setback. The addition will be 26-foot by 12-foot aluminum pergola. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Gentlemen, any questions for staff? I have just one quick one. Just looking at the survey, so is that an existing concrete patio that's there?
That's what it states on the survey, yes.
Yeah, so that's not new, that's just the pergola, the structure is being built above it.
That's how it appears, yes.
Thank you. Any questions? Is the applicant present? Good evening.
Hi, my name is Coralise Diaz, and I'm the owner of 1592 Thornhill Circle.
Thank you.
Good evening.
give us, please, an understanding of what you're looking for tonight?
Sure. So that picture you see right there, that white area, that's not existent. That's exactly where the pergola would be. The flooring is already there, the slab. I just want somewhere that's covered. We still have more than 15 feet towards the fence because I do have a 15-foot setback from the county in that same area. So yeah, the previous owners illegally built a structure that we had to pay a lot of money to bring down because it wasn't in compliance with anything. And so we hired a company to redo, a construction company that's going to redo the pergola with permits and everything. But the variance requests 30 feet, and that's basically inside my house.
I applaud you for doing things the right way.
Thank you.
That's a breath of fresh air, so.
And I'm going to have to admit, after over 80 years, I had to look up what a pergola was. Sure what you were putting up there. Now I know. And a new word to my vocabulary.
Gentlemen, any questions for the applicant? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone in the audience who'd like to speak in favor of the of the item that we have before us?
I'll do it.
Sorry, you are not allowed. Anybody in the audience like to speak against the item? I'm assuming you're related.
Is this gentleman the,
He's the contractor.
are you the
Oh, the
contractor?
contractor. I apologize, I assumed, I made an assumption that was in error, so. If you would like to speak in favor, then you're more than welcome to come forward.
I thought it was her dad.
Hello, Dan Hoffman. So we will be keeping it with at least 15 and a half feet from the setback, or from the, there's a wall behind her property. So, and then, does your property extend actually beyond that brick wall? Okay. So I think that inside her property, we sent a couple of attachments to the BOA at Seminole County email. I don't suppose.
Yeah, you have phones.
Okay, but you said that I have to give you my.
That's why you emailed us the document.
I don't know.
Oh, okay, sure.
I thought it was part of the applicant.
Are you speaking for this, or are you speaking to the project?
I'm just in favor of it.
Okay.
Close enough.
Okay.
Mr. Hoffman, I apologize, I didn't hear, did you give, your address?
It's the 1592 Thornhill.
Your address?
Oh, my address?
Yes.
474 Osprey Lake Circle.
Thank you.
Sure.
I made the assumption earlier that you were the same address, and that's why I was...
No, and then we have approval from ACE. Okay, we have approval from ACE, one of your neighbors, and then the neighbor on the other side has approved it as well, but we don't have any material to that effect. And there's a fence as well, so it's around the side. And she's on the interior of a corner, so it's highly unlikely that it'd be visible from the street at all. Sure. So that's 17 feet to the existing concrete.
Any questions, gentlemen? Mr. Hoffman, the only thing I'll ask is if you could forward that photo to staff so that we can have that part of the record.
Oh, already done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That'll close public comment. Gentlemen, entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, motion to approve.
Mr. Pinson,
Second.
second by Mr. Bravo. Any discussion, gentlemen? Seeing none, call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Forget about myself. All opposed? None. Motion carries. Congratulations.
Kathy Hamill, Development Services. I'm going to be presenting the next 6 items. These variances are to the Seminole County Land Development Code requirement of a maximum height of 35 feet for buildings and structures. The purpose of these variances is that the applicant wants to replace all of their meters and to install poles so they can remotely read water meters. The poles that they are proposing are 40 feet in height with a 10-foot antenna, which makes the structures 50 feet, therefore 15 feet above the 35-foot requirement for a structure. The applicant does have over 13,000 water meters throughout the county. Many of them are in older subdivisions from the 20s, 30s, 70s, in which the infrastructure such as lift station and water treatment plants were embedded into the neighborhood to be able to serve the neighborhood. These tracts of land or lots already have existing infrastructure such as lift stations and water treatment plants. All 6 of the items have the same purpose and background, but I have to present each site legally because they need to be presented in a separate motion for each one of the sites. Also to let you know, we did extend the public notice out to 500 feet throughout the neighborhoods, which is for community meeting purpose type of notification. I did receive several phone calls. All of the phone calls were people just interested in understanding what they were doing. At this point, before I go into each one of the items, do you have any questions concerning the project or clarification of anything?
I have one question. So my assumption here is once you present on all the remaining 6 items that we have,
Yeah.
the applicant will come up and discuss basically all 6 items, but then as far as our motions go, we will take care of those individually one by one.
I believe, and counsel, you can correct me, that we have to open it up for any support or opposition with each
Individually.
item.
Yeah, we would, as long as there's an individual motion for each item, I think we're okay. As far as how we want to be presented, it's probably best to have the applicant present for each site, especially if there's any nuances to each lot that needs to be discussed.
Okay, so, and that's what I'm trying to clear up. My question is for the format, once Ms. Hamill presents all of these, we'll have the applicant go through each one. At the end of a single one, we still call the, opposing.
Correct.
In favor of.
Correct.
Carry the motion, and then we just have her do the second one, or him do the second one, third one, and fourth one.
Correct.
Okay.
And the individual speaking for the applicant, if there's any redundancies, she doesn't have to say the same, if she doesn't feel like saying the same thing on every item, she doesn't have to, but as long as we at least present that opportunity.
I just want to make sure that, my understanding I would want to do each one individually, and that, we go through the same public comment just to make sure that everyone had an opportunity to speak to each individual one. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. That gives me an opportunity to abbreviate what I was going to say for each item, but I do have background for each one of them. Item number 7 is located at 6236 Bear Lake. This is located in the Jansen subdivision, which was platted in 1957. The pole is being proposed on a platted lot in which currently has a water treatment plant. The location of the pole meets all of the setbacks in R1A zoning district. Number 8 is located at 1460 East Wekiva Trail. This is located in the Wekiva Club subdivision, which was platted in 1977. The proposed location is on a corner of a track that abuts East Wekiva Trail. The larger parcel is dedicated for a school, and that school is Wekiva Elementary, and the pole meets all of the setbacks in the R1A zoning. Item number 9 is Sand Lake Road, is located in the Bella Vista subdivision. This is our newest subdivision, which was platted in 2007. The pole is being proposed on a tract of land dedicated as part of the planned development as a utility use. It does have a lift station, and it does meet all the setbacks of the planned development zoning classification. Number 10 is Lakeshore Drive. It's located in Oakland Shores subdivision, which was platted in 1955. This pole is also on a platted lot in which there currently has a water treatment plant, and the pole meets all of the setbacks for R1A zoning. Item number 11 is South Crestview Avenue. It's located in San Lando, which was platted in 1925. The platted parcel has a water treatment plant, and this is located on the corner of State Road 434 and South Crestview, and it also meets all the setbacks in the R1A zoning classification. Our last item is Temple Drive. This is located in the Ravina Park subdivision. This was platted in 1955. It is located on a platted, two platted parcels, and it does meet all of the zoning classification setbacks for R1A. All of these items meet the criteria for granting a variance. We are recommending for the board to approve the variances with staff's condition that the poles will only be used for the communication of the water metering system. And this concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Board, any questions?
Very well done.
Thank you.
Well, I have a question, but maybe this is something that the applicant needs to answer. The last thing you said was that you wanted to specify that the poles should be used only for the purpose of the water meter reading.
Correct.
What other purpose could these poles potentially be used for anyway?
Communication towers such as carriers.
At 50 feet?
We just want to make sure.
Copy.
All right, very well. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant here tonight?
My name is Brenda Pierce. I live at 563 West Hillsborough Avenue in Flora Home, Florida.
Adam Gall with Sunshine Water, living at 395 Gulfbrook Circle.
City?
Longwood.
Sorry, thank you. As kind of heard from my question about regarding instructions, so I think we'd like to just go ahead and take, you can give us a blanket, over the top of all 6, but if there's anything specific to each individual one, we'll stop, we'll ask for public comment and run a motion, take a vote on it, and then we'll do that same procedure for all items, okay? Thank you.
The reason for the pole to be installed is because they are trying to monitor new meters that they're putting in, which would eliminate the need for them to have to go to the home every month. Excuse me. And also, this will also accelerate their ability to detect a water leak. Instead of having to wait monthly, the readings will let them know that there's a problem before it becomes a big problem. So it is a necessary improvement that they need, and we hope that you approve them. Do you have any questions for us?
Gentlemen? I have a question. So normally when we look at a variance of any sort, we look for people that have contacted their adjacent neighbors to get whether they're, going to be opposed to it, or how many people are affected by, in this case, the number of people. How did you notify that, as you said, when new meters are installed, but is that within your service area, is all of these meters like this, or are there still some that are manual?
Currently, they're all manual. This is step one in actually converting them to the automated meter reading product. So we have to put the towers up and the network up before we can actually start to put meters in. So that's kind of the next phase. As we get the towers up, then we're going to start contacting individuals and putting meters in as we work through that. So we haven't made it to that step of the project yet. We need the network first.
So there really you haven't really notified that this is a path forward? You're putting in the,
Actually did notify. We sent out a mailer to each individual within 500 feet. In addition to what the county did, we also sent a mailer out from Sunshine Water, just explaining the system and how it works and what we're doing. And so each one of those would have received that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I was going to say, yeah, the county would still send stuff out, and because this is just a normal application, just like anybody else. So I imagine that's, Kathy, am I correct on that, is that it's just a normal mailer, that it would be for any variance, correct?
Correct, the notice of the public hearing, notice of the, the variance request for each individual.
And that what it was, yeah.
Yes, but Sunshine did send out an additional one in addition to that. So,
Yes, we send out our typical public notice, also
Thank you.
placard the property, also advertised. But we went one step further, also with the applicant, is that we went out 500 feet from each one of the sites.
Wow, awesome.
Thank you.
in addition, I'd like to say that the tower antenna that we're using, and when I say tower, it's 8 inches and then 4 inches at the top. But the tower antenna that we're using is a non-cellular antenna.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions. Gentlemen, anything? Thank you.
I'm just showing you the flyer that they sent out to all of their customers, explaining the entire system.
This is just moving into the age of technology.
Yes, sir.
Taking the guy off the street and going to the computer.
I believe part of this is their initiative to go green by 2050.
Cool. Thank you. Let me scroll back up here real quick.
Also, by going green, there's 2 ways to do that. One is the leak detection, and the other one is for the vehicles to be off the road that would normally be out there servicing these every month, which is a huge endeavor.
I did have one opposition that called, and they were concerned about the meter reader employee losing his job. So I think they hope that you can
Understandable.
find another placement for him in the company.
Plan. Yeah, we've got plenty of space for people who need work. We've got a lot of work to do, so we'll find them a home.
Thank you. I would just go ahead and suggest, take a seat. We'll go ahead and I'm going to call each one of these individuals, and then we'll move on it, and if there's any questions, we can pull back. Okay, so first item in this case out of the 6 is 2024-0955. Anyone in the audience who is in favor that would like to speak? Seeing none, I'll ask if there is anyone in opposition to the item.
Yeah, my name is Danny Ward. I live at 622 Lakeshore Drive, directly north of the 620 Lakeshore Drive facility. I think you did show this deal. What they're misleading you on is this gets circulated, says it's a 40-foot tower pole. There's no mention of how tall the antenna is. Can I show this?
Sir, what did you say your address was again?
622 Lakeshore Drive.
He's on
I'm
the
adjacent to the
third item.
620. So this is, in looking at all the pictures of all these deals, most of these facilities are more in along a major thoroughfare. This is in a neighborhood of Lakeshore Drive and Oakland Shores. What you're seeing there, that's at their gate, looking at their decrepit plant. It's one of these guys are some of the most. These guys are new. I'm hoping they're taking care of it. It's an eyesore. But you can see this, the utility pole sitting there, that's 35 feet. So they're talking about adding 15 feet on top of that. So I don't understand why we need a variance to run the AMI. The AMI probably is running 400 megahertz and probably, what's it running on? 900. So it's a 900 megahertz system, which you can broadcast widely and does not need necessarily elevation. And all they're trying to do is pick up the reads from 175 homes within about a 6-block radius. So this is overkill for them. And, you know, by the way, I'm Vice President of Sustainability for a large corporation. So when somebody keeps telling me they're green, one, these meter readers are going to lose their job. This will have no impact on the environment. This facility has engineers in and out of there at least twice a day, and I'm sure most of them do. So they're trying to sell you on that, which is going to have very little impact on any kind of greenhouse gas. But this is overkill. That's my backyard to the right of that. So this is going to stand up again in my backyard. So I already have to look at the facility, which is typically poorly maintained. If you guys look there, I would advise you guys to come by and look that when you guys wash the tanks, you blow it out into our park.
To us, sir, yeah, please.
Please keep the discussion there.
Well, this just gives an indication that they poorly maintain the facility, and when they when they do their work and have to drain the tank, they jet it out into our park, eroding all of the soil out the backside of the park. So one, let's just get a state of the fact. They don't need to add 15 feet to that type of tower, to pole. There's just no need for it. It's in a residential neighborhood. This is in a commercial neighborhood. So I'm opposed to it.
I just, for my clarity here and the clerk, the item, we're taking each one of these individual, there's 6 of them.
Yep.
We're speaking directly to East Wekiva Trail. I know that we haven't really discussed Lake Shore, but you are specifically against the Lake Shore one?
Yeah, 620 Lake Shore Drive. I'm opposed to that.
Yes, sir, I noted it on item 10.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
This way you don't have to come back up and re-speak. And I apologize, but again, if you, I know you presented something on your phone, if you would send that to staff.
I'll do that right now.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, when we do get to item 10, I'd still just call for opposition as well, even though we've already had a speaker, just.
Understood. I'm still going to do
Yeah.
that, but like I said, it's, unfortunately, he was speaking against one of the items that we weren't discussing yet, so. At this point, we'll close public comment on, Mr.
Does the applicant not get a chance to rebut?
Yes, if he,
When we get to the item, yeah.
We're going to save it for then.
I was going to save it for the 3rd item, not this item, but I will defer to Attorney.
I'm not sure, is there a provision in your bylaws for rebuttal? Is there any bylaws for the?
I mean, they're allowed for a rebuttal, yes, sir.
Okay.
But again, it was not specific, that's why I clarified that he was speaking to a
To
3rd
item
item.
10. When we get to item 10, if the applicant would like to rebut any of the comments.
Okay,
in
I don't need
opposition,
to
we'll
do
get to
that.
item
I don't
10.
need to do that for this item right
No.
now. Thank you. Man, you guys are making this hard on me tonight.
Well, I mean,
Should have brought the training wheels. All right, board, I will ask, again, we're speaking to item 2024-0955, East Wekiva Trail. What's the board's pleasure?
Move to approve.
Second.
Bear Lake Terrace. Yeah, this is Bear Lake. This is Bear Lake Terrace.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize.
6236 Bear Lake Terrace, yeah.
I scrolled on my sheet and I moved, I apologize. So, correct, that's 2024-0947 Bear Lake Terrace. Sorry, thank you for correcting me.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Board, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, make sure I got the right one this time. So, next item would be East Wekiva Trail, 2024-0955.
Move to approve.
I'm going to ask for just any public comment first real quick, and then we'll move on. This time, we'll ask for anybody in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this item. Seeing none. Anyone in the audience who's opposed to this item at East Wekiva Trail? Again, seeing none. Ask the board for the pleasure.
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Beagley, Mr. Coonson. You have a motion. Call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. 94909, I'm sorry, 0949, Sand Lake Road?
3009 Sand Lake Road.
3009, thank you. Sand Lake Road. Okay. Anyone in the audience would like to speak in favor of this motion?
Ow. Ow.
Anyone opposed who would like to speak? Seeing none, again, ask the board's motion, or, excuse me, pleasure.
Mr. Chairman, motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Evans, second by Mr. Bravo. Call the vote. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, 2024-0958, 620 Lakeshore Drive. Anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor? Anyone in the audience like to speak against? We've already had.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's, no worries, no worries. We're taking care of it administratively. We've already had gentlemen come forward and speak against. He gave us our reason. Before we move to the board, give the applicant an opportunity to provide a rebuttal.
Yeah, I guess with regards to whether or not that's required at that height, we've gone through careful engineering analysis of what's required in order to get as many meters as we possibly can on the system. The alternatives, if we kind of lower the tower or do anything with eliminating the tower, it creates gaps in our ability to read, which forces us to select more expensive alternatives to try and get that reading done through those meters. So that's kind of why we've selected the 50-foot height. As to the other points on the plant itself, I can't really comment to that. That's outside of the project that we're working on, but.
Honestly, from my purpose, again, the understanding the gentleman's, opposition, what we're looking at is the tower height tonight, so, the other stuff is not really part of our, what we're reviewing today.
Yeah.
You can work that out individually, with the owner.
The point is cost effectiveness, and bringing that down to our ratepayers is as cost effective as we possibly can. That was the objective of the 50-foot tower height. And the propagation study that we did on it, which is an analysis of the network, kind of pointed us to that 50-foot height.
Gentlemen, any questions for the applicant again? Okay, thank you. All right, we are closing public comment, closing the rebuttal opportunity by the applicant. At this point, put it back to the board, ask for their pleasure.
Mr. Chair, motion to approve.
Mr. Coonson, we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bravo. We have a motion and a second. Call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, 100 South Crestview Avenue, 2024-0959. Anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor? Seeing none. Anyone in the audience like to speak opposed? Again, seeing none, bring it back to the board. What's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Second.
Beagley, second by Mr. Coonson. Call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. And the last one, 111 Temple Drive, 2024-0961. Anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor? Seeing none. Anyone in the audience who would like to speak opposed? Again, seeing none, bring it back to the board. It's your pleasure.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bravo, second by Mr. Beagley. At this point, no, we don't need any discussion, so we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Again, motion carries. That is the last item on our, we have no other business, and minutes will be sent on the following meeting, so we do not have to approve any minutes for tonight. Really pulls our, thank you for making my night difficult. Appreciate that, gentlemen.
Blend Cafe.
And motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll let you guys know, we have 4 more next meeting.
4 more of these.
Same ones?
Ruined the surprise for me.
Well, maybe it's time to change the code. You finally got rid of the, side yard corner lots, so, this could be the next one.
Was there a confirmation on the adjournment? Who seconded the adjournment?
Mr. Bravo voted, but nobody seconded it. They just got up and left.
I'll second it if you need a second.
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.